Well, nice having you with us, and we're very happy to have your film in the festival, and happy to share with you today some thoughts about your film, your career, so that we get to know a bit more of you. And to start, if I may ask, you are telling us a story which has been told many times. You know how dates can go wrong, and yet you're doing it in your own way, and it's very original way, because what started as a date will turn out to a nightmare, and so I want to know, how did you get this idea? What pushed you to deal with this whole thing, this whole idea, and to make a film out of it? Or if you are the one who wrote the story, I'm not sure whether it's you or.
Oh yes, you're absolutely right. I did write it. It was and you're absolutely correct that, I mean, this story has been told many times before. I think it's perhaps this version is a little more vulgar and a little more obscene than in previous iterations, but the story was really based on the fact that I had so many friends who had told me horror stories about their dates, and it kind of eventually culminated in this composite of a number of different stories I had heard from different people. And also it was just, I primarily work in the horror genre. I usually make horror films, and so it was kind of an opportunity to branch out into comedy, because I really didn't, it was sort of an experiment. I didn't know if I could write comedy or not. And so that's really what it was just an attempt to work in a new genre.
Yeah, well, I think you've succeeded in making a comedy, because we're in the moment they start this encounter, we start smiling, because things are a little off, and then we and it's maybe a satire, maybe also to this, I don't know if you saw it as a satire to this custom that exists, well, mainly in the West, I would say now, of setting up people for dates, whether through internet or through friends or through, so people go in there almost as if they were going for a job interview. They want to look at they want to look the best, and they want to say the best things. They want to please, and it's, maybe it's you at one point you branch into grotesque and to that. So maybe that was the idea, to maybe have a point of view about dates. What do you think? Are you fond of dates?
I think that's a really accurate description. It is a lot like a job interview. You sort of, you're heading into it trying to show your best attributes, and inevitably, I don't want to say, I shouldn't say that. Oftentimes it's sort of a process of sort of stripping away those social formalities. The process of getting to know someone is basically getting past those very superficial layers and getting to know the person very intensely. And so in a way, I hate to say this, but it is kind of a downhill ride, because you're trying to present your best face first, and then gradually it's a process of sort of deconstructing that identity. So I think that's really interesting. And that's kind of how that was the purpose for the interviews that are intercut throughout the film. It's that, you're seeing the external facade and then the internal monologue, like what's really going on beneath the surface and what they're really thinking about one another. So I enjoy that. I like that idea of sort of revealing the really harsh realities beneath the surface in a comedic medium. So
and also by revealing what is harsh, you do two things also. You push the other one to react, and maybe try to at one point get to the boiling point. What is the boiling point of, of the thing that they will not accept. I will go and push and push and push, and then the guy was at one point so obnoxious, and we were getting ready to see the reaction. How can she take before she reacts? Hits him on the head. So that was. It's interesting, this ticking clock. We know that it's gonna.
That's a great description. It is sort of like a pot simmering on an element. It's sort of boiling up and up and up and up and up. And that was part of the reason why it was an experiment in terms of writing. I'm always a little skeptical of my own skills as a writer, and so I wanted to try and construct within maybe 10 minutes a believable scenario where you could go from 0 to 100. Can you do that? Can you, in a way that will convince the audience, that doesn't seem contrived, or that you're jumping between scenes, and so that it happens in a very natural, organic way, as opposed to just jumping from one end of the scale to the other.
Yeah. You don't want to do elliptical thing. You want and that was the idea, is to follow really what is happening, and starting to understand the change that is. And I think you succeeded at that, and we get in 10 minutes the whole picture of this.
The whole psychotic picture of these two people.
Exactly. But you said that you were more into horror movies.
That's right.
Meaning you've done horror films?
I have. I've done probably about 20 short horror films, and then I did a kind of film noir feature film. So this particular film was a bit of an anomaly, because I don't typically do comedy, and it was kind of, as I said, it was an experiment to see if, do I have any talent in this arena at all? And
yeah. Well, it's funny how and you're not the only one. How you approach, for example, a genre and a manner to express oneself through experimentation. Yeah, as a matter of fact, experimentation is a very good tool that one uses to learn something. It's
absolutely. And we shot it so cheaply that even if it was a disaster, it was okay. It was no great loss, and I was shooting it with friends, so it was a fun time for the most part. We
did realize that your locations were very limited in terms of.
Oh, completely. I mean, it's funny you should say that. We shot it at a local restaurant. They were doing it as a favor to me, and they didn't charge me to use the location, but they double booked the room for a band. And so in between us shooting scenes, there was a band setting up right behind us. So we would have to, I basically had to convince the band to take a break in between setting up so that we could finish shooting.
When you say action, nobody moves.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. They were literally standing right behind me, and I would say action, and we'd shoot maybe 20 seconds of footage, and then they'd start rummaging around and moving drum kits. And so the whole thing was just pandemonium. I mean, it was actually like the shooting of it was just as funny as the film, because it was just insanity. But you're right. We really shot it in 2 locations. That was it. No location costs, because they just did it as a favor to us. And shooting with friends, they basically
the 2 actors are friends of yours, and
that's right. The actress is Tara Cesar, and she worked with me. She's no formal training as an actress. She just innate talent within the arena. and the male actor was a man named Colin Dignam, who works in Toronto, and he freelances as a voice actor, but he's never done any on-camera work. And they were just friends who I had met along the way, and I said, would you be willing to do this, please? And they agreed to it, so it was great.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think the end result is good, and they have you have a little piece of comedy that you know, make us not only laugh but also think a bit about this process of dating and how you know, we fall in pitfalls while we're you know, when we follow the rule.
But that was the thing. I love the idea of you know, the passive aggressive nature of friendships, and the fact that, you know, there's this sort of mysterious absent woman named Helen who sort of brings these two people together, and you know, for the most sick pleasure you could possibly imagine, because she knows they're totally mismatched for each other. I love that idea of sort of, you know, this mysterious third party.
Yeah, third person which is there without being there. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, most of my favorite sitcoms are about people who are just horribly mismatched with each other. You know, they just shouldn't, you know, that kind of scathing, biting humor. I really admire that. And so this
Yeah.
is sort of my attempt to emulate that.
Well, it is a formula now in sitcoms and even comedies, to just put in the same room two people that are totally a mismatch for each other, and then anything usually that happen is, it could be funny because there's such a mismatch that you know, they won't behave normally, they'll behave at the opposite.
Well, that's the thing. And you know, one of my, I don't watch a lot of romantic comedies, but one of my favorite ones is Before Sunset by Richard Linklater. And this is sort of,
I didn't see that, but I'll write it down because I need to see this Before Sunset.
Yeah, it's a really wonderful film. I think you'd really like it. And so this is sort of like the complete opposite of that. Yeah, whereas two people in that film, it's a really beautiful film about two people who are just fated to meet each other and fulfill one another's desires. And this is the complete perverse opposite of that. You know, two people who are just disastrous for each other. And so that was kind of the genesis for a whole film.
Yeah, and that's great. Tell me, now that you've done this short comedy, what are your plans in terms of comedy? Were you happy with the result? Did you get fun? Are you ready to make another comedy?
It was fun. It was a lot of fun. I think I did an okay job in terms of writing. I think I need to work a lot on the production end of it, in terms of directing and cinematography. And I really enjoy comedy. I don't know if I'm always a little skeptical, again, of my own skills within that area of writing, but I have kept writing scripts in the comedy genre, and I just finished a short animated film. It's just about it's very short. It's only about 2 minutes long, but it's about this kind of dog from hell that's, you know, this endearing dog from hell that just sort of makes its owner's life a living nightmare. Spiking, and it's actually going to be screening at a film festival, and on a virtual film festival, I think in the next month or two. And so I have kept writing within the genre of comedy. But I'm still a little skeptical. I don't know if I have the chops to pull it off. So I'm still honing those skills. And that's why I really appreciate the Rabat-Comedy Film Festival screening it. I kind of get a flavor for, like, does this work or not? How does the audience react to it?
Yeah, well, we'll have an audience. We have an audience award. They'll be voting, and also, you know, just like the others, even you as director will send you a link so that you could watch the other movies. And you know, when directors watch each other's movies, it's always a nice thing. And you know, you could have maybe some reaction of people, just like you might react to some comedies you will see. And basically, the idea is, and I think I agree with you. This is craft, and craft, you know, it gets better when you work at it, when you experiment, when you allow yourself the possibility to even fail, because that's the only way to learn. You know, you can't. Yes, and
yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you, and I think that you know, what particularly when it comes to writing, so much of it is development. You know, honing those skills and getting that timing down, especially when it comes to comedy, because it's a very instinctive response. You know what I mean? It's if you miss by an inch, you miss by a mile, and I mean, it's not as if you're going to have a conversation with the audience afterwards and say like, well, this is why it was funny and you just didn't get it. It's very immediate in that sense. And I really admire people who can write strong comedy, because it truly is a skill. And that's why I liked the idea that this was an experiment to see if, you know, can I pull this thing off? Can I make something that's amusing and tell a fairly strong narrative within the span of less than 10 minutes? And so I'm kind of excited to hear what the response is going to be, good, bad, or otherwise. And
yeah.
And to get a feel for, you know, is this a vein that maybe I should continue pursuing?
Yeah. Well, no, don't give up. Whatever the results, you need to just keep on going. And listen, we wish you the best luck for this festival. I mean, this competition, and the best luck in other festivals. And we hope that you'll be able to bring back another comedy next year, or the year after, so that you'll get a chance maybe to come to Rabat, and this time visit us, and we see you by flesh and bone, you know, because you know, this year we've done it online, but hopefully we'll return to our standard format next year. So thank you so much, Kevin.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. And
it's a pleasure to have you, and it's a pleasure to have your film. And we wish you the best luck, and we'll see you very soon. Thank you so much. Take care now.